Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. How are you all today? Happy 2023. We're 3 days into the new year. It's January 3rd today. Hope you all are having a good new year. Hope you made it through safely. I want to recognize the fact that there have been some people out there I won't name who are going through some hard times. Let them know that our thoughts and prayers are with you. So there you go. Are you prepared? I want to talk today about something that I think a lot of preppers, so-called preppers, get wrong, and they've got wrong. And as a result, I don't think they're going to do very well in the coming year or years. We're coming up on a year that I think is going to be real challenging. There's going to be dangers in this next year that are simply going to be things that have continued over for the last few years. I think they're going to get worse, and I think that they're going to be very different than a lot of people think. And so, when we talk about prepared, by the way, I should make this announcement. I've decided, I've just put 3 or more videos over on Patreon. I've made a decision to put more over on Patreon and fewer on YouTube for a particular reason. Because of the changing in threats that I see coming in the next year or beyond, we're going to be talking about things that are a little more focused on a different kind of preparedness than most channels talk about. And when I get into these issues that are vitally important, I always get a slew of comments on YouTube from people who think they know what they're talking about because they've watched some videos or watched some movies or heard somebody say something one time, who think they know what they're talking about and don't. And they come on here and they blur the issue with their idiocies. Okay. Now, usually I get rid of them, but it just takes too much of my time, and I'm far too busy to want to continue to deal with that. So there's going to be a lot more over on Patreon. For instance, I think on the 1st or whenever, I don't remember what it was, been the last few days, I put one over about family, friends, and favors. It's one of the Mafia preparedness guides. You're going to need to know these things if you really want to be prepared for what's coming and if you want to do well. Okay. The next one was in response to a question that I got from one of our patrons, and that was, what if a favor isn't returned? A lot of people have totally whacked out opinions on this because of what they've seen in the movies. And we have too many people in this country, in this world, in the preparedness community, who think they know things because of what they've heard. They don't have the personal experience to judge, the quality of that information, but they've heard it, they've convinced themselves of it, and then they continue to spread it around, and that's unfortunate. That's one of the problems in the preparedness community is that BS keeps getting pushed around. So we're going to stop it here, and I do stop it when I hear that come in, but that's why I'm putting more over there. So the second one was a response, what if a favor is not returned? That's important to understand too. It's going to be important for you to know if you want to deal with the world that I think is coming. And then today I put one up about how to defend against a machete attack. You all heard about that machete attack up in New York in Times Square where the cops were attacked by a machete, right? Y'all ever been attacked by a machete? Me neither, and I never knew anybody that was. I did know somebody who attacked somebody else with a machete, and he did time for it. So anyway, I put that over there. There's going to be a lot more on Patreon. You should be with us. If you're not, the link is down below. If you're serious about preparedness, you need to know the information we're going to be putting out over there. The link is down below. Come join us. That's that. What's going to happen? We have some real dangers coming at us in 2023. And in order to deal with those, do you have your go bag? Do you know 114 different ways to start a fire? Can you set up 9 million different shelters in the woods? Yeah. I'm joking about this, kind of, because I'll tell you real honestly, those are not the things you're going to need to know to survive and deal with what's coming. They're fun to watch. They're fun to do, and even sometimes I will watch those things because I watch somebody build their shelter in the snowy wilderness and build their fire and cook their food. It brings back memories. It's soothing, kind of. It's relaxing to watch. I mean, I have a busy life. You have a busy life. So sitting down and watching that sometimes, but is that what is going to help you navigate and deal with the problems that are coming our way? I guarantee you that it's not. But too many people in the preparedness business and the preparedness community, as it was, and I don't think it's a community, I think it's more of a hodgepodge, concentrate. That's what they concentrate on. They want a new piece of gear. They want a new tent. They want a new go bag. How many ounces is my go bag? How many ounces is this? Do I need a new gun? Do I need a new knife? Do I need a new, whatever, And I tell you, if it comes down to your ability to use specialized gear, you haven't put your attention and your efforts where it ought to be, and that's up here, and that's developing skills. Skills always trump gear, okay? But those aren't the things that you're going to need to know coming up in this world, and that's where a lot of preppers get it wrong. I would go so far as to say that those who do not engage in preparedness are more prepared for what's coming than those who do. Now, is that a shocking statement? Maybe I just hurt some feelings out there. Maybe there's some people up there jumping up and down. How can you say that? How dare you say things like that? I've got 3 years of dehydrated food. I'm ready to go, and a go bag. Well, if you've got, years and years of food, that's good. I'm not sure about the dehydrated. I'm not a big, unless you need to run with it. Not a big proponent of that. And food stocks is important. That's going to help you defend against the inflation that's going to continue to come. But you see, most people in preparedness, I know this is going to come as a shock, prepare for times that aren't here and probably aren't coming, at least for a long time. Now, here's where I'm going to lose some people because it's going to break their little hearts. You mean I'm not going to get to go out and survive in the woods? That's what I've been planning for. That's what I've been preparing for. But also, I hope that those of you who are listening, who are preparing, who don't want to go out and live in the woods if you're given a choice, okay, I'm speaking to you specifically, and to the others. I want you to join. I want you to listen. Listen to this. Yeah. Consider it, because you need to. What's coming down the pike, guys, is a lot more of what's been coming. There's not going to be a big change. As I've said before, there's not going to be a civil war. There's not going to be a revolution. There's not going to be any of these kinds of things. Would a balkanization be good? We'll talk about that another time, another place. That's not coming soon either. It's not coming probably in our lifetime, and very possibly not in our children's lifetime. So for those who are hanging their hooks on that and preparing for that, most of your time and money is probably going to be wasted. Unless what happened in my books happens again, and it will. For those of you who haven't read it, you should read these. These are the most important preparedness maps you can find. That's the Stonemont series, is my books, the 5 books. The Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal, and Appeal to Heaven, and the Blessings of Freedom. It's how to prepare for, how to survive, how to rebuild after a total collapse. This will happen, whether it's an EMP or more we know that a CME will happen. This will happen. But until it does, you're going to have to deal with the world that we have. A lot of people in the prepper community, really denigrate. And this isn't let me back up here just a minute. This isn't the total prepper community. This is the vocal prepper community. Okay, the ones who are express about it. There are a lot more prepared people in the suburbs than there are in the country. Did you know that? A lot more. How do I know that? Steve, that's just not true. That can't be true. The people in the country are all prepared. No, they're not. They're not. Some are. Some are. Good for them. Most aren't. How do I know that? I've written 5 books on this stuff. Okay, those of you who know my background, you know that I was in law enforcement for quite a while. I was in the city, I was in the county, I was in the small towns. I won't get into all that, but I tell you what, the people in the country are not more prepared than the people in the suburbs per capita. And there's a lot more people in the suburbs than there are in the country. And there are dangers in the country that's really not, they're not the same that's in the suburbs. In many ways, the suburbs are safer. And we're going to get into that later. We're going to talk about this year because I'm going to start telling people where's the best place? Where should you be? What are the things you could think about? Because a lot of these things out there, the so-called not common knowledge, the things that have become truisms because they've been repeated so often, they're not necessarily true. And if you're serious about being prepared, you need to know what those are and correct them. So the things that are coming down the pike are the things that many people in the preparedness community worry about, talk about, but aren't prepared for. Because they put all their eggs in the get out of Dodge basket, right? I'm going to live a primeval life. If everything falls apart, I'm okay because, I live a certain kind of life. I've already given everything else up. I'm not sure that that's wise, to be honest. Matter of fact, I would say that it's not wise. The current world has a lot to offer. Technology has a lot to offer. Do you know where your battlefield is going to be in the fight ahead? It's not going to be with a okay. Everybody that's out there buying so much of that, and I'm not against it. I mean, I have suggested people invest in that too as an investment, and you should have it because of all the reasons that we know, right? But if you think that that's going to be your battle, it's probably not. Most probably, 99.99999, it's not. That's not going to be your battle. The forces that want to, and are even now making your life more difficult, do you know the weapons they're using? They're not using that, right? They're using laws and technology. And too many people out there in the preparedness world eschew, which is a fancy word for saying push away, ignore, don't deal with, They don't like technology. Oh, you know, they'll like ham radios and they'll like drones and they'll things like that. But technology. And they'll put down the younger generation that knows about computers. Do you know one of the strengths in my group? I have, and I have a lot, our group has a lot of strengths. We are just deep as can be in medical. We are as deep as can be in the physical aspects of defense. Let me just put it that way. We have a very diverse and a very deep group. One of our biggest strengths is our technology. I've never really talked about that much. Most people in preparedness don't. The people in our group who have a good grasp of technology. You see, the battlefield, just like with our military, you know, we got people down, you know, underneath MacDill Air Force Base fighting these wars with joysticks with buttons, right? Okay. Yeah, we know. All of the people who are out there making videos and YouTubes and the ones that everybody watches, everybody likes to watch the tier 1 guys, the guys that are in there, kick the door and do this and do that, because they have, you know, there's a lot of fancier slogans made up about those, and there's no cool t-shirts made about the guy who's down there in the basement with the computer. But that's where the war is. That's where the war is. The challenges that are coming your way are legal and technological. And to the extent that you're ignorant of that, and I am, I'll be honest with you, I am not a techie. Thankfully, I have people around me who are. But the extent to which you're ignorant of that is the extent to where you're vulnerable to that. We live in a world that is presenting us with these challenges. If you want to truly be prepared, you have to accept that you live in that world and develop the ability to resist the things you want to resist, to affect the things you want to affect, to influence the things you want to influence, to hide from the things from which you want to hide. Am I making sense? You have to accept the world as it is and prepare to deal with that world. You can't be upset at the way the world is and say, I'm going to fight against it because I have my go bag and my bug out location. Should you have those? Yeah, you should. You should. Because a lot of things can happen and probably will down the road. But until those things happen, you have to be able to live in and deal with the world you live in. And a lot of people are not. They're ignoring it because they don't want to deal with it, because maybe they don't feel up to dealing with it. They don't want to think about it. They hate the way the world is now. I get it. I understand it. But not dealing with something that's a threat to you because you hate it does not make a lot of sense, does it? If a guy's coming at you and you hate, and he's got a knife in his hand or he's got a gun, for you not to deal with that threat because you hate him, I'm just not going to deal with it. Just not going to deal with it. See, you're setting yourself up. And too many people in the preparedness community are leading themselves down the primrose path, thinking that all of this preparedness stuff that they're involved in is the answer. Well, it may be the answer to something that may happen far in the future, but it's not the answer to what's happening now and what's going to continue to happen for the foreseeable future. If you truly want to be prepared, you have to do all the things we talk about, right? You have to have, food, water, shelter, all of those things. But you also have to participate in those things in this world that prepare you, that protect you from the threats that are here every day. I know that that's a lot to think about. Think about it. I hope you've understood what I've said. And that's why I'm going to be talking about more of this stuff over on Patreon, because we have to get kind of specific, because I think a lot of these things are just not things that most people in the preparedness world, at least, on YouTube, have thought about or are ready to deal with. If you're fighting if you're fighting a modern war with antiquated weapons, don't expect to win. Okay? All right. Well, welcome to 2023, a year that's going to be extremely challenging. But it's like, and I've said this before, and many of you know this, the Chinese symbol, and I have no idea whether this is true or a made-up lie because I don't write or read Chinese, but they say that the Chinese symbol for danger is the same as the character for opportunity. Dangers come, got to deal with them, but you have to see where the opportunity lies in there, because you don't want to survive what's happening. You want to come out stronger. And if you don't want to do that, you're just going to fade away. If you want to know how to do it real well, again, my books, the Stonemont series, you can get them through Amazon or through me. The links are down below. Join us on Patreon. That's where I'm going to be putting more of the things that are specifically aimed at what I think are going to be the unique challenges coming. And you know what? They're not challenges that other people haven't dealt with before. They are. That's how we know they work. I mean, the responses to those challenges. These are things that have happened to people. There is nothing new under the sun. The Bible tells us nothing new under the sun. It's happened before. It hasn't happened with this kind of technology, but it's happened before. And you can either ignore it, you can succumb to it, or you can learn to overcome it. And the choice is entirely up to you. So that's today's message. Join us on Patreon. It can be very, very important to you that you do. And remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, and preparing well means that you're preparing for what the actual dangers and challenges are, not some fantasy that just makes you feel good about doing something. Okay? All right. Y'all have a good day. I'll talk to you in the next couple of days. Like I said, I'm putting more up on Patreon now. So, tomorrow or the next day, I'll see you again here. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.